Hey fans, Julie Donaldson here, and welcome into the Command Center. We have a special half hour on tap for you. And stop all of your yawning, grab a coffee, because we're talking about the Commanders you won't want to sleep on this season. Plus, we continue to get to know our rookies as we pair another newbie with a Washington legend as Rocky McIntosh sits down with second-round pick Phidarian Mathis. And we invite head coach Ron Rivera into the film room to highlight what makes Mathis the right man for Washington's defense. Plus, who will be returning kicks now that DeAndre Carter has a new home. And here we are with Logan, Paulsen, and Santana Moss, and a lot of excitement around here in Ashburn because next week is the beginning of OTAs. The parking lot has already been full, especially compared to last season, but next week is when guys are going to really be here. What were you doing before OTAs began?
I was here probably, because I was always here for off-season program. It was always a big part of my kind of process, make sure I was here, be around the coaches, lifting with the team, kind of building that camaraderie, so there wasn't any adjustment for me.
Yeah, it was the same way for me. I wanted to make sure that I was here. I wanted to always be ready before the off-season workout started. So when I was here, I was basically just letting those guys know that when come OTAs, get ready, because I was going to be cutting grass.
So at the end of the season, vacation. At the end, just before training camp, another vacation. But now it is all about work. And guess what, folks? Apparently we need to open a bed and breakfast around here because folks are sleeping on a few of our players. And as defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio said, don't sleep on Cole Holcomb. Well, what other players could folks be sleeping on?
Don't sleep on Cole Holcomb.
Former NFL quarterback and current ESPN analyst Dan Orlovsky took to Twitter earlier in the month. If the Commanders' defense plays this year the way we expected them to last year and the way their talent leads them to, well, they'll be playing meaningful games late into December. Too talented of a roster. And superfan Nathan Coleman doesn't think Jonathan Allen's 2021 season is getting enough attention. Pointing out Allen had the most sacks by a Washington interior defensive lineman since 1983. Hello! With 9 on the year. Allen had the second most pressures among interior defensive linemen and a 90.9 overall Pro Football Focus grade. How's that for a season? So here we want to talk about now guys that you may be sleeping on. We got our comfy little pillows. We can take a nap. Let me start with you, Logan. Yes. Who do you think folks are most sleeping on so we can get this pillow out of the way?
I think people are most sleeping on Carson Wentz's effect on this offense and what he's going to mean for this group moving forward. I think when you look at him and like his skill set, obviously there's some issues in terms of his production over the last 2 years, but I think he brings an outstanding physical skill set. Big arm, quick release. I think his skill set fits what this offense wants to be in terms of a vertical passing attack, pushing the football down the field, opening up throwing lanes by getting horizontal push with those wide receivers, all these fast wide receivers. I think that skill set's going to be really beneficial. And in addition to that, I think his ability to see the middle of the field is going to be a big plus. Taylor Heinicke did a great job last year, but I also think that he needs to, his ability to see the middle of the field because of that height is going to be a plus for this offense.
All right, so I'm going to take this pillow out of the way for Carson Wentz.
Get it out of here.
Plus, some people are saying, look, we understand, and he understands himself. He's even told me, like, there's a lot of pressure on this 1 year, and he needs to stay healthy for that. But some folks out there are saying, look, if he doesn't perform this year, he's going to be a backup.
Yeah,
his times as a starter's over.
That's for sure a possibility, but I think like with under the tutelage of Scott Turner, I think that might not be an issue. I think he's going to be able to have a nice productive year this year.
Okay, what about you, Santana?
Well, I'm going to get this pillow out of here quickly. Don't sleep on Cameron Curl. I think Cam Curl showed us 2 years ago what he can do for this defense. 2 years ago, he had, Sean Taylor-like rookie season. And last year, despite going in there and doing this thing later in the season, he had to sit and play second fiddle behind a guy named Landon Collins. And I think that was probably a bit of a business decision. They didn't want to sit Landon down knowing they had a lot to, pay him out of their pockets. But Cameron Curl is one of those guys. He showed flashes 2 years ago. He showed those same flashes last year. 2 years ago, he had, three interceptions, a touchdown, 88 tackles. Last year, he had 90-something tackles. He didn't have any picks. He didn't have a touchdown, but he gave us that spark late in the season when we needed him. I think Cameron Curl is somebody that we're not talking a lot about. This year would be his show. He would really get a chance to come out the starting gates and be that defensive back that we need. Don't sleep on Cam.
And, you can't forget, he was drafted way on back in the draft, and they have said from the beginning the stage is not too big for him. He's shown that he's only going to get more. So to that, I'm going to bust open a Mountain Dew, which means, folks, I'm not going to be going to bed tonight. But you know what? We've been talking a lot about Washington. Let's talk about some of our foes in the NFC East. How do you guys drink this stuff? Oh my goodness. Wow, that's like pure sugar. Okay, so we've talked a lot about Washington. Eagles, though, grabbing a pair of Georgia Bulldog defenders with their first and third round picks in defensive tackle, Jordan Davis and linebacker Nakobe Dean. Giants with 2 picks in the top 10 of the draft selected edge rusher Kayvon Thibodeau, and with 5th pick, the Alabama offensive tackle Evan Neal 2 picks later. And the Cowboys also adding an offensive lineman in the first round, selecting Chris Paul's college teammate Tyler Smith with a 24th overall pick. So let's have a little fun with this, and let's rank those in the NFC East on offense and defense. We're going to take the Commanders out because we don't want to be biased. So, Santana, I'm going to start with you to rank the defenses in our division.
You asking me to talk about other teams.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with the New York Giants. New York Giants, poor defense only because the offense.
Yeah.
That's how quick I'm going to be with them. The Cowboys, oh man, turnovers, great pass rush, but they gave up a lot of touchdowns. So I put them at number 2. I have the Philadelphia Eagles at number 1 only because I like the guys up front. They have Cox, they have, Fletcher Cox, they have Darius Clay.
Jordan Davis, all those big guys.
All those big guys. Yeah. That's why they're in the front with me, and you tell me where I'm wrong at.
Oh, yeah, well, I disagree. I think the Dallas has the worst defense in the division because they lose Randy Gregory. That defense is predicated on pass rush. I think Stephon Diggs takes a step back in terms of turnover production. They lived and died by that last year. I like the Eagles a lot, but again, there's some young pieces there they got to get better. I like the Bradbury addition in the secondary. I think that's excellent, but it's still a lot of projections, a lot of people doing stuff new. And then to me, it's the New York Giants' number 1 defense, not because of any player they added, even though I think Kayvon Thibodeau, the addition is outstanding. It's because Don Martingale, the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, is now their defensive coordinator, and I love that defense.
Okay, let's talk about those high-flying offenses, and well, let's rank them, though. Let's hope they're not that high-flying and that Washington can shut them down. Santana.
I have the Giants at number 3. I think the only reason why I have them at number 3, Daniel Jones. Yeah. You know, the offense-driven league, and when it comes to the quarterback, they've been lacking. They've been slacking, so I had them at number 3.
Yeah. And then you got who?
Well, number 2, I have Philadelphia. Now, they can easily be my number 1
They're
offense.
my number 1, just so you know.
Easily be my number 1 offense. I think Hurts, if he gets better, if he plays a little better than he played last week, they're easy moving up to my number 1. And number 1, I have Dallas Cowboys. I think Dak Prescott is what this league needs when it comes to quarterbacks. He has the star power around him. He gets the ball up and down the field. They put up a lot of points. That's why they're number 1.
Yeah, so I agree. I think Daniel Jones is the limiting factor there. They've added some pieces around him. Evan Neal's a nice addition, but we'll see what he does there. I like the Cowboys. I think they're worse. I think they've got worse. You lose Amari Cooper. That offensive line is kind of patchwork together. You're going to ask a rookie to start. Don't love that. I think that's going to affect Dak Prescott's production. And I think Philadelphia Eagles, they've supported Jalen Hurts. They've made him a lot better. They have maybe the best offensive line in the division. And when they run the football as much as they do, that's a big deal. So they're my number 1 offense.
And what about if we talk about drafts? I mean, we've broken down Washington Commanders enough. Santana, where would you rank them?
Let's see what you got.
Well, I'm gonna rank number 3 would be the Cowboys. The Cowboys is always supposed to be the world beaters in the league, and we didn't hear enough noise from these guys in the draft, so they're number 3 for that reason alone. Number 2, I would say the New York Giants. I feel like they got better. You know, they got some key guys on that defense that's going to probably give that defense an added push. That they played well. I told you they played well last year. So just having those guys along is going to make them that much better than number 1. You know, number 1 would be the Philadelphia Eagles. Wow. I hate talking about the Philadelphia Eagles so much because it's almost like I'm giving them a layup to say that this is the guys that we have to make sure we go through to win the division. But these guys, you know, they did it.
That's kind of what it feels like right now.
I told you about those studs they have. I told you about just acquiring A.J. Brown with a first-round pick. I think that was more like a first-round pick than a trade.
Excellent.
That alone, you know, led them to be number 1 for me.
I think you're actually right with these. I got the same thing. I think Dallas, to me, worst. They kind of a lot of high upside. Jerry Jones, that oil kind of speculation. I think some of those aren't going to pan out the way they think. New York Giants, I think Kayvon Thibodeau, Evan Neal, that kind of characterized their draft, but outside of that, very average. And Philadelphia, A.J. Brown, Jordan Davis, the linebacker from Georgia, all those guys, excellent additions, going to make them tough to beat.
No doubt.
Meanwhile, our rookie class has been hard at work, including our second-round pick, Phidarian Mathis. The rookies were here for minicamp the first week of May. Next Tuesday, they will be joined by the vets for the start of OTAs. Here's a look at Mathis's college numbers. In 46 career games at Alabama, he recorded an impressive 129 tackles, 10.5 sacks, 9 of which came in the last year, and 3 forced fumbles. and in a national championship in 2020. So yes, that's quite a college career. Now for more on Mathis, here he is with one of Washington's legends, Rocky McIntosh.
Rocky McIntosh here. I'm with Phidarian Mathis. We're going to talk a little football, man, try to get to know you.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
All right, all right. You got a nickname, man? Because I'm from the South, and they call me Rocky.
Everybody call me Big Phil.
Big Phil? Who gave you that? My grandma gave me mine.
So, you know, it's crazy. You know, my dad named Phil, my grandfather named Phil. So, as a youngin' running around, I was just Lil Phil.
Yeah.
And then I just became Big Phil. So, that's how I got the name Phil.
I feel you, I feel you. So, how was it like getting that call, man?
Oh, man, it was crazy. I really couldn't get my words out. I didn't know what to say. All I could say was, you know, yes, sir, yes, sir. So, I mean, it was very, very, like, I don't know. I can't describe it, man. It was.
Sure.
I feel like it was already life-changing.
So you was repping the C. You was a captain your last year at Alabama, or maybe before then. What did that mean to you, and what can you bring to this group of guys? Because there was a funny thing that I saw. I saw that it was kind of buzzing on the internet that Ryan Tannehill said that you know, he doesn't have time to mentor some of these young guys.
Yeah.
I feel like at that point of being a veteran, it's your job to go help others so you can be more collectively grow and be great as a team. So how do you feel like you bring that experience for what you learned in Alabama here?
You know, in my situation, the guys that played at Alabama, they already here. The Ryan Payne and Jonathan Allen. So, you know, they've been my big brothers already. So, you know, with me bringing in leadership, I don't think I have to do it just yet, because I'm gonna be looking up to those guys as big brothers and hopefully them leading me. So, but you know, with me being a leader at Alabama, you know, that just separate me from a lot of guys, and you know, and add more value to my background, that I'd say. So, but you know, I don't think, you know, I gotta just be a big leader. My role is to come in here and help out.
I feel you. Before, when I came here, there was a whole bunch of great guys. All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks for talking to us.
Appreciate time.
An awesome experience to see the old legends meeting the next class of stars in Washington. And for more on Fedarian Mathis, make sure to visit commanders.com, as staff writer Zach Selby has an interesting piece on Mathis's relationship with fellow Alabama alum Deron Payne. Now, we are not done discussing Mathis after the break. Head coach Ron Rivera joins us in the film room to break down the second-round pick. Plus, the legendary return specialist Brian Mitchell stops by to take us through some of his more memorable kick returns in franchise history. So stay tuned. And check this out. Former wideout Pierre Garçon on vacation down in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, holding up a hail to the Commanders as the schedule release came out, and he's already pumping up the positivity with a playoff bound. And our coaches and players are making the most of their spare time, hitting the golf links before the next phase of the off-season workouts begin. Now, according to quarterback Taylor Heineke, the players, they got the better of the coaches in this round. Nobody's seen an official scoreboard, though. Just saying. And speaking of coaches, the Washington Commanders announced this week the team's 6 2022 Bill Walsh NFL Diversity Coaching Fellows. The 6 coaches will work with individual position groups here in Washington, giving them a chance to observe, participate, gain experience, and ultimately gain a full-time NFL coaching position. Now, for more on coaching, well, here's head coach Ron Rivera in the film room with Logan Paulsen.
All right, Coach, thanks for coming back. We got Phidarian Mathis, the second-round draft pick out of Alabama, and everyone's talking about him as a run defender, and this is one of those clips. He's playing the nose right here, kind of doing unselfish things, right? Eating a double team. Everyone talks about these great Alabama linebackers. Yes. He was a big reason that they were successful. Let's take a look at this clip real quick. Again, using these long arms, eating the double, sitting in his gap, and then playing that gap and a half like, you know, like an NFL vet.
Then the best thing he does, more so than anything else, is he shows you his discipline and patience. Because, again, based on the action that goes on right here, you know that his fit as far as this run scheme is concerned is going to be this A guy. Watch how he doesn't cross all the way over, okay? Even though his head's over there, just the head presence is going to make this guy cut back. So what you're going to see is him now work back to his crease and shed the guy. and make the play. I mean, that is really good textbook book work right there. And as you said, long arms, great hand placement.
And that's great insight, because I've watched this play about 400 times, and I didn't even know. I thought he was in the right A gap, but the fact he's able to play back here, that's such good insight, Coach. And
well, the biggest thing is you said he plays a gap and a half, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what you ask sometimes because again, we have a defense very similar to that,
Yep.
and we will put him up over the top of the nose and tell him, hey, you got to play a gap and a half.
Yes.
And what we're basically telling you is if this is your crease, if you can show presence and fall back to where you need to be, that's exactly what we're looking for. That was an excellent play.
And he shows a good feel for that, Coach. And the other thing is, I think everyone thinks he's this big, 320-pound nose guard, but here he is, lined up over the tackle, kind of a 4-eye technique. And he's the read man in this. He's the pitch man.
Right.
They're pitching off of him here. And watch him. I think the thing I love about him is his reaction is outstanding to get to this ball. And he's just able to run this down.
Again, here's what I like about understanding where my fit is. Okay, he belongs, like you said, a 4-eye. 4-eye tells you which crease he has. He's got the inside crease. So what he doesn't do is he doesn't jump outside,
Yep.
okay, and create an opportunity for a cutback. What he does, he's very disciplined. He stares where he's supposed to, and then what I like too is he turns flat down the line of scrimmage to pursue.
Yes, and you love that. And again, like for a big man to be moving like that and tackle a running back in space is special. Like
Yes,
it's a special player, right? And then everyone thinks, again, he's this big lumbering guy, but he's got some ability. And here he is, he's on the center, and this should be a win for any defensive lineman because usually centers can't pass protect. So, and again, you see the length. Like watch his arms here, Coach, just flail up because that means that he's got his hands in his chest, and for him to finish this is awesome.
Well, the big thing too is if you watch him, you never at any point see his head, okay, above the center's head.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and what that tells you is he's playing with great leverage.
Yeah.
And then when you see the blocker's hands come up, that tells you that great hand placement
Yes.
and hand combat. In other
Yeah.
words, he's striking from low to high.
Yep.
You see the shoulders of the center come up. That tells you he's lost his leverage. And then with his long arms, he extends and then works underneath.
He's able to finish the play.
Yes.
And again, like that comes from just kind of mom, dad, and God having those long arms, but also he's drilled that. You can tell he's a student of the game. And then you get some kind of, every once in a while you get some spicy stuff, Coach.
Yes.
And I think this is pretty spicy here because I didn't think he had this in his game. Watch him, he kind of does this like Aaron Donald-ish long arm kind of jump around the corner here. Like that is elite pass rush.
Well, what happened here on that, he sets them up because of his quickness. Again, it's a real quick jab. The guy gets back.
Yes.
It's a jab again. So he tries to reset himself. Then all of a sudden, there he is. He's into him. He doesn't leave a lot of space for the guard to be able to punch
Yes,
and extend.
right.
And next thing you know, he's got leverage on him. And then he dips underneath and rips and gets to the quarterback.
Yeah, and that's
really
just
nice move.
and that's just some of what he does. But he's also, Coach, like unselfish, right?
Very unselfish. Bring this back just a little bit,
Yeah.
and I'll show you. One of the things that I saw that really stood out in my mind is the way he works in conjunction with some of the other guys around him.
Yes.
There's a tape, and I wish I could remember the team specifically, but you see him. He starts off here, and he goes to pick the inside portion of the offensive tackle. What that does is this guy gets off, goes 1-2, and as he picks him, this guy started to loop. Well, a lot of times guys will either go too fast
Yes.
or go too shallow and allow themselves to get pushed across.
Right.
Well, he gets into the crease.
Yeah,
gets
in this
vertical.
gap here, right?
Exactly.
And then into the gap, right? Yes.
And then what happened was he goes, because of his positioning, he punches the inside hip and sticks it. And as he takes it, he sees the quarterback, he works back inside and puts himself in position to make the play. Very unselfish.
Yes, and that's good for those young pass rushers to know is this guy is part of the rush, man.
Yeah.
You can get a sack too, and he understands that, helping his teammate out. Coach, thank you so much.
All right.
Awesome to have this guy a part of the football team.
Yes, it is.
We don't like that stuff. We absolutely love it. And more to come. And more to come on the show. Former special team standout DeAndre Carter found a new home in free agency. Now Washington must find his replacement in the return game. And we share our thoughts when we return after this break.
I remember this. This is the first time I ever returned a kick, and I was nervous as hell before this game. Carlin and went, and then, now this is the beginning of the 91 season. We had a middle return. This guy thought he was gonna just tackle me without wrapping his arms. I ran through that. And went to the end zone, 69-yard touchdown. It was a combination of things. Like the first one was a kick return. And I had never returned kicks in my life. And I was so nervous. It's the first preseason game, and we get the ball, and I got through the hole, because Wayne always said get through it before it's shut. And I was relatively comfortable with returning the kicks. And then midway, or a little bit later on that year, the body bag game, both of the returners got hurt. So now I'm the punt returner. Those 2 returns, in essence, gave me the confidence to go out there and do what I did for 14 years. And I really, really appreciate Wayne Sevier and Coach Gibbs for giving me that opportunity to go out there and have an opportunity and show what I can do.
Former legend Brian Mitchell taking us through some of his punt returns. Many say he should be in the Hall of Fame, but they don't have a lot of special teams guys in there. But we're going to make a case for it. We do need to make a case for a new kickoff punt return guy because DeAndre Carter is now with the Chargers. Logan, who do you like on this team that has the ability to do that?
I think the most obvious one, because it's the most recent one, is Jahan Dotson. I think he showed a really nice skill set at Penn State. He's got a whole bunch of returns for touchdowns, nice short area quickness, catches the ball well. He's a great decision maker. But again, you feel a little weird about it because he was a former first-round pick. But Tana, you're a former first-round pick. You did a little bit of both. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think one of the things you have to, we just shared, I just shared a little story about how I regret that I didn't continue to be a punt returner. And I think one of the things you have to just consider is just how much usage I want to use my first-round pick back there returning punts. Now, if he's a guy that's not getting that many attempts in the offense, even though he might be starting here and there, but he's not getting that much action, what I might say, then I'm gonna use some of those plays as a punt returner because now I could get him involved in the game, and then he gets the flow of the game. And now 1-2 plays here or later, he's down the sideline on the offensive side of the ball. So that's one of the ways I would want to see him used. I don't want to see him used too much back there just to be, predominantly a punt returner like the New York Jets wanted me. Right. But he has the talent, he has the skill set. Why not?
Is that why you regretted it? Because it would help you keep involved in offense?
Yeah, because, when I was in New York, I was dealing with a lot of injuries, and that's the only reason why I took myself off it, because I didn't want to be the starting receiver that can't be a starting receiver. I wanted to be the starter that goes out there and be productive as, the offense needed me to be. So when I got here, I'm like, hey, screw that. Screw
that. Here we go. Just get me it going. Look, the players, they just want to make plays. We'll see how that plays out as the summer will roll on. OTAs are here. Thanks for joining us on Command Center.